Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Down here at Jamie Moore's gym in Manchester. Bit of a media day. Jack Catterall's here. One of your new fighters in Cameron Vong. Chantelle Cameron not here, but let's talk about the fights we've got coming up because you're going to have a busy couple of months.
It looks like we're going to be busy, yeah.
Chantelle, rematch, Katie Taylor. We all know what happened in the first fight. How pleased are you that Chantelle's sort of getting this recognition now on a big stage, because she got the world title and she was always clamouring for these big fights. She went out to Abu Dhabi, collected all the belts, been to Katie's backyard, beat the one, and now she's getting a chance again. How pleased are you?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that she's getting the recognition. I'm not too pleased for Chantelle that she's got to go back to Dublin, because I think she deserved, at least a neutral venue. Not even a home venue like a Northampton or maybe even London, but like a neutral venue like Abu Dhabi would have been fairer, I believe. But it doesn't matter, it really, and I like that for her. But it doesn't matter because she's been there before. We know what it's like there. Even though the fans was all in Katie's favour, they was all great with us. It was all done in a very sportsmanlike way, and you could tell they all had a lot of respect for Chantelle before it, and probably more so afterwards now. And I can't help but feel that she'll do a better job this time, because she was very unsure. Even though she was confident by the time the fight comes, she was very unsure. It's Katie Taylor, and I know it's a big ask. And then you could see her confidence growing the more success she had in the fight. Now she knows she can beat her, so she's gonna be a different animal going into this fight.
I always remember I did an interview with her here, and we were talking about women's boxing. It's when they had the all-female card on in London, and they were like, she was, I don't know how they do that, I'd just probably shit myself. They were her words. And she went out there and rose to the occasion. Is there a bit of sadness, the fact that, although you have to go back to Ireland, that she was like, I don't really want to defend. I want to go fight for them belts. I'll move up in weight. I'll change my weight. Like, can we not do that? Was there no sort of give or take in this?
Well, apparently the reason why Katie's belts aren't on the line is because Katie didn't want any excuses when she beats Chantelle this time. So that was the reason given to us. But so basically saying, don't want anybody saying the only reason she won is because Chantelle was drained or dragged down in weight. But it was Chantelle who said it, because Chantelle wants the opportunity to win other belts like everybody else. So Jessica McGaskill was undisputed but got the chance to win Chantelle's belts. Katie Taylor was undisputed but got the chance to win Chantelle's belts. Chantelle's not getting any opportunities to achieve other stuff. So she only moved from lightweight to super lightweight because the opportunity with Katie wasn't going to be there, or she got told it wasn't going to be there in the near future. So she didn't want to hang around waiting, so moved up. So she's actually a natural lightweight. But listen, it is what it is. I think Katie Taylor, maybe Eddie in the back of his mind knows that it's a big ask and Chantelle's going to win again. And that way, Katie gets to have maybe one more fight as a champion, defend the belts as like a swan song. Maybe that's the thinking behind it. But if and when Chantelle comes through this and wins this, then I think the next thing has got to be for her to be able to win belts, world titles at different weights.
100%. Look, let's move on to Jack Catterall. He's getting a fairly decent fight against Jorge Linares. I know people have been talking about the defeats on his record in his last 3 fights, but they were all against elite level operators. When you're looking back at it now, he's been around the block a bit. He knows everything. Sam was saying he's hearing stories that he's doing extremely well and he's well up for this fight. What sort of danger is Jorge Linares to Jack Catterall?
He's always a danger because he's a huge puncher. Is he past his best? Yeah, no one's denying that. But these types of fights have happened historically for years and years, and every now and again, the old dog comes through and pulls off the upset. I'm glad he's a puncher in a way, because one of Jack's best assets is that his defence is so good, but the other one is that he won't go into this fight sort of taking his eye off the ball, because he's a puncher. Even though he knows he may maybe not be as good as he was 4 or 5 years ago, he can still certainly punch. So it'll make Jack be fully aware going into the fight, which is always a sort of worry going into a fight where your guy's the favourite.
Jack obviously will want to be challenging for belts at some point soon. I know that was the idea when he came with Matchroom. Touch wood, we're not looking past Jorge Linares, but if Jack Catterall comes through that, we've got Regis Prograis fighting allegedly, we're hearing rumours of December against the Devin Haney. Surely the idea will be we look at trying to get him into the position to fight the winner of that.
Yeah, mate, exactly, that's the thing. And Prograis being with Matchroom, when we sort of heard about all that, was like, this is heaven. You know, it's an easy fight to make, and I understand Prograis wants to fight Haney because he said, you know, boxing another well-established world champion who's got a name for himself, but it's not done deal. I've been told that. Yeah, it's not
on the line.
Yeah, so if that doesn't happen, then Jack Catterall's waiting in the wings, and you know, he deserves the opportunity. He does, and if that fight does take place, Prograis Haney, then I want Jack to fight the winner of that as well. So he really is, for me, is at that level, and he can mix it with the best, and he can beat the best at 140 without a doubt.
Is Josh Taylor still on the table at all? Depending on what weight?
Yeah, I think it'll always be there, the Josh Taylor fight. Listen, Josh Taylor's still a phenomenal fighter, and you know, he's lost to Teofimo Lopez, who's a phenomenal fighter. So there's no shame in that, and the only reason why Jack wouldn't be sort of chasing that fight now is because he's not a world champion, because Jack wants to be a world champion, but it's still a massive fight. So say, for argument's sake, if Prograis or Haney or a world title isn't up for grabs after we've come through this next fight, then that's still a huge fight for British boxing fans.
100%. Aqib Fiaz, how pleased are you with his sort of development? I feel over the past sort of 12 to 18 months we've seen a bit of a shift for him. How pleased are you with how he's doing and the fights that he's going to have coming up?
Yeah, listen, I love him. I love his.
He's a good kid, isn't he?
He's a great kid, and you know, he's really. Since we got him in, he turned pro with us, we've worked a lot on his sort of working on his whole sort of base in terms of he was more of like a pressure fighter when he came, and we sort of stripped him back down, worked on his defence, worked on his ring craft, his ring generalship, and then we've put it all back together, and he's really developed into an all-round fighter now. He's had some tough tests along the way as well, and he's not been matched easy, you know. So out of the sort of 12 fights or whatever he's had, half of them have been fights where he's expected to win, but he's always been asked problems by the opponent. And that's what I said to Steve Wood early on. We need to make sure we match this kid well, because he'll go backwards. And, you know, he's only got one stoppage, which is not a reflection of how hard he punches, which is a good thing, because your opponent will generally, so he's not really a puncher. And the lessons what he's learned over the last few years, where he's had them little bits of difficult fights and come through the other side of it, will stand him in much better stead for a fight like this.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was the better seasoning rather than him just blowing away. Because if he had a few more knockouts on his record, but the opposition would have been poorer, then he'd potentially setting himself up for a fall later down the line.
Yeah, and he hasn't got the experiences of coming through knockdowns and difficult patches in fights. When you're doing that at a higher level in a title fight with more pressure on your shoulders, then sometimes the fighter's more inclined to panic and not sort of do what they do naturally in the gym, whereas he's been through that, he's experienced that now, and I'm more than confident that if and when he's put in them positions again in the future against better opposition, he'll navigate them better because he's been there and done it.
Absolutely. Look, let's touch quickly on Liam Smith, Chris Eubank Jr. I want to get your opinion on this rematch. A lot of variables coming into this, a lot on the line for, you know, whoever loses. It's going to be difficult to see where they go. Eubank's just brought in a new team, obviously Bomac, Terence Crawford's team. What do you make of this rematch, and how do you see it playing out?
Well, I think contractually they had to do it,
Yeah,
but Eubank, sort of character-wise, I think would always have chased this, because he believes in himself that much that he won't want to be able to tell himself that Liam Smith's capable of beating him. But I said this yesterday, you know, Liam Smith is a phenomenal fighter. He's so good at sort of reeling you in. He gives away the first few rounds and sort of makes the opponent lower his guard a little bit and get a bit overconfident. And you know, Eubank saying I was walking the fight easy is the story of loads of Liam Smith victims over the years where they've probably felt like that, and that's how Liam's got to him. That's what he does. So it'll be interesting to see if Eubank fights differently, or if he'll believe what he's been saying, where he was in control and he just switched off for a minute. If he believes that, then he could end up in exactly the same position again. I believe it'll go a little bit longer this time, but I think the same outcome will happen. Maybe it would be to the body, because Liam's a brilliant body puncher, but I think he'll still get to him and stop him.
Okay, just quickly want to touch on, we saw Usyk Dubois last week. I'm sure you've been asked loads of the same questions, but I've got to ask you. This low blow, and I talked to everyone about it. Some are saying, no, 100% it's a low blow. What are you talking about? Other people are saying, no, it was a legal shot. This is still going on a week later, and we've got professionals, ex-world champions telling me the shot was okay. No, it wasn't. What is going on? Was it? Do you think it was legal, or is it borderline? What is it?
The angles what I've seen, it just looks like it's a low blow, and no one will ever know whether it was low or not. But no one can get away from the fact that the referee called time, stop boxing, and gave him the time for a low blow. So regardless of whether it was low or not, it's not his fault. It's not anybody else's fault. That was the decision made by the referee. So, people are saying, well, it was a body shot and he's weak around the body and stuff. That's a different issue. And if he is weak around the body, then it's getting to that stage now where maybe he's, the longer people are around, people start finding weaknesses out. But have you ever been hitting the balls? It's fucking not nice. So it didn't look like he was actually in the balls, but he still doesn't feel nice. Low, yeah, right, low there, exactly. Yeah. So no one will ever know. So these type of debates go on for ages, and it's just insane, really, because no one will ever know the actual whether it was low or not. It's an opinion.
Do you think, even though they're going to appeal it, do you think it'll come of it?
No, it's Usyk, and at the end of the day, everyone wants to see Usyk and Fury. I don't, even though Dubois, considering the opponents he's had in the past, and him going in there with Usyk, did really well. But you could see he wasn't on that level of Usyk, so it's not like anything will change in the rematch. I don't think. I just believe that it was a low blow. The referee is gonna, for whatever inquiry is going to go on, the referee's going to go, listen, I called it a low blow and that's it, and it's going to be threw out of the way, and then hopefully we're going to see Fury and Usyk.
Hopefully. Well, final one from me. I've been asking a few people. It's just to gauge an opinion. I think this year in boxing we've seen quite a lot of big fights, the fights that we're sort of wanting to see, your Spence Crawfords, Gervonta Davis, etc. If you can make any fight in boxing right now, aside from this heavyweight situation that's going on, because we all know we want to see that, any other fight in boxing, if you could make it, what fight would it be?
Not including my fighters.
No. As in, you as a fan, you go home, to pay to watch, you'd stay up to whatever time you want to see this fight.
Okay, that's a good question. God, that's a fucking good question.
Thank you, mate.
I need a bit of time. I'd need the rankings of all the weights because it wouldn't be someone probably at the same weight. It'd be someone either side of the weight.
They can meet at a catch weight. You're the man to make it happen. Shakur, Gervonta, Devon, Spence, Crawford, whoever you want.
See, I'm thinking something like Gervonta Davis, but I don't know whether he's too big for someone like Inoue. Inoue, super bantamweight, featherweight, super featherweight. There's a bit too many weight divisions in between there, isn't there?
There is, but they were floating that idea of a catch weight. It'd be ridiculous, but Inoue with that.
If Gervonta Davis could still make super featherweight, then that's not out of reach. £8 to come up is not out of the question there, is it? I'm going to go with that. Inoue and Gervonta.
Who would win?
Fuck.
It's getting better.
I'd go Gervonta Davis just because of natural size, but I'd love to see whether Inoue could carry his power through those weights.
All right, Jamie. Well, look, appreciate your time as always. Thanks for talking to Boxing Social. We'll catch up soon.